It's time for another edition of Lewis at Large with Warner Lewis. 60 minutes of smart talk radio with interesting guests from all walks of life begins right now. So sit back and enjoy. And now, from the flight deck, here's your host, Warner Lewis.
Well, welcome, everybody, to another edition of Lewis at Large. Yours truly, Warner Lewis from the flight deck. And, of course, that means some very smart talk radios in your future. This segment, we're going to be talking about you and about your life and keeping your life in balance. We're going to be talking about plugged-in parenting with a true expert, Terri Fedonczak. Who is Terri Fedonczak? Well, here is exactly who she is. She, for many years, was a very successful commercial real estate agent. She dealt with a bout of breast cancer, which really transformed her life in many, many ways. She is a parenting expert. She's also a certified life coach specializing in parent and teen coaching. She is very aware that parenting is the true challenge of many of our lives, indeed, and we will get to that right away as we talk to her now. Terri, how are you, my friend?
I am so great. How are you, Warner?
Good. Well, you sound very chipper on this day, and we're happy for that. And Terri, plugged-in parenting, even if you were raised by wolves, an intriguing title, indeed, as you call it. It's a field guide. Give us a little bit more background of how Terri Fedonczak got to this point in her life.
Well, yes, the plugged-in parenting is kind of interesting because I have always wanted to write a parenting book, but as you so eloquently said, I was in the commercial real estate business and on that fast track to making lots of money and buying lots of stuff, and I thought that that was the end-all, be-all until breast cancer changed my mind. And it allowed me the ability to reprioritize my life. And I know that not everybody gets that chance, but I'm here to tell you it's worth it if you take that chance to reprioritize your life. So I stopped doing commercial real estate, and I got my life coaching certification, and I started writing my book. And 2 years and lots of sweat and tears later, here I am. The book is out, and I'm going around the country talking to parents about how important it is to plug into your kids where they are, not necessarily where you want them to be, which is a big deal with teens because we always, we want them to be different and we want them to be whatever, fill in the blank. And that sets up this struggle that doesn't necessarily need to be there if you plug into your kids where they are and you parent according to your own family values and not what somebody else is doing. So that's the premise of the book, because I was raised by wolves, and I had to learn how to parent myself. The premise of the book is if you were raised in an environment that you were not nurtured, you didn't feel comfortable, but you don't want to replicate that, but you don't really know how to do it on your own because you have no role models to follow. This book fills the space in between those 2 points. It gives you a guide to creating your own parenting plan so that you and your family are kind of marching down the road to your own dreams.
Let me ask you something. This sort of epiphany that you came to in business, we've heard that a lot of people that go through something similar to yours, it's sort of life-changing. Did it hit you at the moment, or was it after you had, as a cancer survivor, as you sort of pulled through it, did you just do a big, serious reevaluation?
Kind of both, Warner. At the moment I was diagnosed, my first thought was, when the doctor told me about my treatment and what was going to be required, my first thought was, oh, thank God, I get to lie down for a really long time with a really good excuse. I mean, that is how tired I was. I was so tired. And because I had been pushing myself and not practicing self-care and not listening to my body and its needs, I was listening to my head and, I was bowing to the gods of stress every day. And, that initial sort of shake-up, then I had to relearn what was good for me, because I had been so disconnected from myself for so long. So there was an initial sort of epiphany of, oh, thank God I get to rest, and then a practicing of what that looks like. What does it look like to actually take care of yourself? And then once I kind of got rested, I thought, is this really what I want to be doing? You know, if I'm not just burning the candle at both ends and I don't have time to really plug into my life, I don't think about those things. But when you take stock of your life in a different way and you look at what are your priorities? What's really important to you? When you are on your deathbed, what do you want to be saying? Oh, my God, I'm so glad I had this life. Or why did I waste so much of it doing, work or money grubbing or whatever, whatever that means to you. So it was an ongoing process.
What about, and again, the epiphany led you to, in essence, helping others in a different way.
Yes.
Coaching them, and in particular, in this case, plugged-in parenting, about how to be a better parent, which I know is part of a bigger issue of how to be a better person. But we're also very aware, if we know anything about you, Fedonczak, is that your parenting, or the parenting you received, in your opinion, was not world class. They loved you, but as you said, I think you said they were good people, but not good parents.
Exactly.
How much of that influenced your decision?
I think it influenced it quite a bit, because I knew that there was something better out there. I mean, even as I was, on that fast track and on that success road, the kind of success that our society talks about, not the kind of success that I have now, because my success now doesn't involve, it does involve making more money. My success now involves me being a better person and changing the world one family at a time. So, knowing that I was raised in that environment and knowing that wasn't right, and then I felt deep in my bones that this fast track success track wasn't right. There was something out there that was right, but I didn't know where it was or how to find it. So cancer gave me the opportunity to stop and really think about what I wanted to do and how to get there.
We've talked about parenting on this show before, and one of the sort of good, bad things, I would say, that has come out of a lot of those discussions is baby boomers have been wonderfully involved compared to their parents, probably as a generation as a whole, with their children. The downside is we may have made it so that so many of them, maybe too many, are getting soft landings all over the place and are ill prepared for some of the realities and the rejections that they may face in real life. Do you abide by that? Do you disagree with that, or where are you on that?
No, I totally abide by that. Yeah, I think that if we don't allow our kids to struggle while we're around to help them back up when they fall, we are really doing our kids a disservice, because when they get out into the real world and the boss doesn't give a fig about if their feelings are hurt or not, they don't have any tools to self-soothe. They don't have any tools to regroup and try another tack. If you don't let them fail when you're around to help them, they will not be equipped to fail in the workplace. And everybody fails. If you do any kind of research on entrepreneurs, self-made people, the thing that they all say is, I was really good at failing. Michael Jordan, how many shots he made versus how many shots he took. It's intrinsic in that self-made person that they're not afraid of failure. So if we can teach our kids that failing is not a big deal, that's what separates the wheat from the chaff. Whether or not you get back up again, that's the big deal.
If you've just joined us, yours truly, Warner Lewis, from the flight deck of Lewis at Large Radio, the middle of the segment, and we're talking to Terri Fedonczak. She is a life coach, specializing in particular in parenting. There's a brand new work called The Field Guide to Plugged-In Parenting. Even if you were raised by wolves, for many years, she was a very successful commercial real estate agent and went through a life-changing disease experience, and we now have the benefit of that change here today. Terri, let's start diving in here just a little bit. What, by definition from you, what is plugged-in parenting?
Well, I think plugged-in parenting is based upon the premise that we only get one shot at this. You know, if you're not parenting with intention and you're not parenting, the plugged-in parenting, my definition is parenting with a view to the long term, making short-term decisions based upon those long-term goals. So what I tell my clients is to imagine your child at some future like a valedictorian speech, whatever your version of success is. They're standing up there on the podium and they're talking about you as a parent and all the things that you did for them that allowed them to be successful, that allowed them to be where they are today. Imagine what they would be saying and then bring it all back to what you're doing in the next 5 minutes that will support them in that goal. That's plugged-in parenting. Long-term goals, short-term decisions. And that also necessitates that you are plugging into your kids where they are. If you're pushing them to get great grades and they are miserable at school, you're adding more stress onto their already burgeoning stress load. So plugging in where they are, figuring out what their dreams are, what their goals are, and then disciplining according to your family values, it makes this beautiful parent-child dance. And the reason I know this works is that I've done every mistake that I caution against in the book. I've done them all. And then I've come to this new place of plugged-in parenting, and I see how easy it is to be with my kids now and how joyous my life is and how happy my family is because of it.
You know, Terri, as a life coach, I know you are very, very busy. You travel a lot. You're engaged a lot. On the other hand, my guess would be you do have a reasonable amount of control over your schedule. Mm-hmm. What that affords you maybe a luxury that those that are sort of the old 8 to 5, 40 hours a week, pick up the kids, race them to soccer, race home. Right. Suddenly everyone's finally fed by 7:30. Homework, it's 9:30, and everyone just collapses.
Right.
That's probably more the norm.
Yes.
Help those people a little bit too.
Well, I think I'm glad you said race them to soccer because for me that's a big one. You see a lot of parents burning more time and money than an NFL team, carting their kids around to various and asunder extracurricular activities. In my household, it's one thing. Pick one extracurricular activity, and I don't care what it is. Pick one thing, and we will support you for one thing at a time because in today's society, in today's schools, kids have so much homework, and if they have more than one extracurricular activity, it's cramming too much stuff into one day. And the social media, and the fact that they never have downtime. So as a family, figure out what's really important to you. What are your family values? And build family time into that. And that means the way we do it is sit around the dinner table. Every single day, we eyeball our kids and we talk about what happened during our day. And we arrange our schedule so that dinner time, it doesn't have to be a 4-course meal. It can be takeout and you sit down and eat it. But we have that time every day. And then with only one extracurricular, there is enough time to do your homework, have some family time, have some downtime, and get sleep. So it's not a matter of cramming as many activities as you possibly can into your kids' schedule to make them well-rounded. I'm not saying that parents do this to punish their children. They do it because they think that it's the way to make them well-rounded. Really, it's a way to make them exhausted. So pare things down, simplify your life, do less stuff and have more connection family time. That's my recipe for success.
Terri, what about this large and not new, but somewhat new in terms of having a spotlight on it big time is the subject of bullying and sort of how to stop mean girls, and I probably mean boys too. But I'd like to get your thoughts about that. And then I'd also, as a sort of a follow-up here, is there are those that are going to say, you know what, on the bullying thing, get over it. That's a part of the evolution, and it's part of childhood. It's like falling off of a bike. part of that is learning to fend a little bit for yourself. And I'd like to hear your thoughts about all of that.
Okay. Well, my passion, my goal in life is to end the mean girl syndrome, to end bullying. And I think that it's really very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple how to do that. We have a culture that is built upon competition. We're always comparing ourselves to other people. Are we ahead of them? Are we behind them? Do we have more money, a bigger house, etc.? And that's what we see a lot in the media, and that's what kids are picking up on. It's all about competition. It's all about doing better than the other guy. My focus is connection over competition. Just sort of understanding the fact that we are, as human beings, herd animals. We want to be in connection with other people. So if we can focus on that connection piece and stop comparing ourselves to other people, building up our own self-respect and our own self-worth, and that's the first R of my 3 R's of how to be a better person and how to be a better parent. It's respect for self, respect for others, and responsibility for your actions. I think if everybody practiced those 3 R's, bullying would be a thing of the past, because you cannot play the bully or play the victim. That's a dance, right? The bully and victim dance. If either side of that dance changes the steps, the dance falls apart. So if the bully focuses on connection with the victim, or the victim stands up for themselves and surrounds themselves with a support system so that they are not alone. They have people support them. That dance falls apart. I don't believe that bullying is to toughen up someone. I think bullying is a focus on cruelty and disconnection. You cannot bully someone unless you see them as less than you are. If, in the reverse, if you find a point of connection, all of a sudden that person is your friend, or at least another human being that you find respect for. So that self-respect, respect for others, and responsibility for your actions, I think that is the way to stop that bully-victim dance.
What about, just in the pure interest of time, we'll move on to another one, and that is, in today's world, there is no question that statistically a large portion, if not a majority, of young people will come from homes where there is divorce or some kind of disruption in the normal 2-parent pattern of some kind. Let's talk about that one.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I had 2 little girls before I met my husband. I was a single mom and for about 2 years, and it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But I think I made it harder on myself than it had to be, because I had this idea that I should be different. I should have another parent. I should be more organized. I should be different, at a different place than I was. If you can practice an acceptance of exactly where you are, take a look at your family exactly as it is, and practice thinking this is perfect, just as it is, with all of its trials and tribulations and all of the mess that you want to be organized and all the things that you wish were different. Instead of focusing on how different it should be, focus on how perfect it is just as it is. And it takes you out of that fight or flight syndrome where you're always feeling stressed out. Because if you're stressed out, your kids are stressed out. If, however, you focused on what's right in your life and how much love you can build in your house and creating a happy home just as it is, that stress kind of melts away and you can see the beauty in your life as it is today.
Terri, you mentioned earlier social media, the ability and mobile phones and all of that, the ability for young people to connect to peer groups, etc., at an earlier age, at a more expanded level, more sophisticated level, a deeper level, is here. It has been here for many years, and it will only become more prevalent. Does that create an even greater need for parents, so to speak, to be aware of where their kids are connected? Because it would seem to be, these days, becoming more and more impossible to do.
Yeah, and I think that, that's the answer to that question is the answer that I give to most parenting questions, which is it depends. Like, there is no hard and fast rule. Your kids can only be on social media for X amount of time at X hour of the day. There's no hard and fast rule. What there is, though, you talked about connection on a broader scale than ever before, and I believe that is true. The social media allows you to connect with a larger group of people. However, I don't think it goes deeper, Warner. I think it's actually more superficial. So if you can sort of tell your kids that social media is fine, it's not an evil thing, but it does only go so deep. If you want to create true connections with people, so that people will support you where you are and will continue staying by your side, even when things are rough, you're going to have to do it on a different level than just a screen. You're going to have to go face-to-face, because without that face-to-face contact, that connection doesn't go any deeper. And the deeper our connections are, the deeper our human connections are to our support system. In my vocabulary, that's your pride, your support system, like the lionesses have a pride. The more deep those connections are, the better support you'll have, and the happier your life will be. That doesn't mean you can't also connect with them through social media. It just means that that's not the only connection you do.
Well, Terry, as we start to wind down here, there's lots of headlines, so to speak, about parenting. There's no way one could encapsulate it, but is there a headline, so to speak, or as they say, the big takeaway from the field guide to plugged-in parenting?
Yeah, I would say if there's one thing you take out of Field Guide to Plugged-In Parenting is the 3 R's: the respect for self, the respect for others, and the responsibility for your actions. And the other big thing that I preach to all of my parents is the heart of self-respect is self-care, taking care of yourself by getting enough sleep, proper nutrition, exercise when you can. All of that is intrinsic in becoming a plugged-in parent.
Well, this has been a good one here. We are running out of time, unfortunately. Our guest has been Terri Fedonczak. She was many years very successful commercial real estate agent, life-changing experience with breast cancer, and now happily as a survivor and through epiphany, etc., is a life coach. The work is called A Field Guide to Plugged-In Parenting, Even If You Were Raised by Wolves. Terri, undoubtedly a related website, and so share that with our listeners, if you would, about your website and also how they can get a copy of the book.
Absolutely. My website is girlpowerforgood.com. There'll be links on there to order the book on Amazon, or you can just go on Amazon yourself and search Terri Fedonczak or Field Guide to Plugged-In Parenting, and then or please follow me on Twitter, girlpower, the number 4 good.
Man, that's pretty easy.
There you go.
Hey, listen, thank you so much for your time and sage advice, and best of luck to you, and would like to have you on again sometime.
I would love it, Warner. Thank you so much. It's been great.
You bet. We will be back with more right after this on Lewis at Large.